This is the crane that we're putting on this new to us 550 work truck. So we're using this crane here that I built quite a few years ago. I'll do another video on that at some point. And also probably a video on that way to process vegetable oil into fuel. So it's about the right size for this truck. It's just a little bit maybe too tall. We had it bolted actually to the front of a trailer. We used it to load a rod box off the side of a road to bore roads for utilities. Anyway, we're thinking about cutting that wheel down so that we don't lose our bed space. I built it like this so we had this cantilever so we can use a chain there to hold it, and then we just took a hydraulic cylinder out of a cherry picker, but hydraulic cylinder is not strong enough, so you use the chain to hold it when you get into position. So we made this crane out of an old axle that came out of a heavy-duty trailer. It's got the bearing on the end, so it makes it easy to spin around. The lug nuts were locked up on there. We couldn't get it off with our impact, so we just drove the pins out right here. And then we'll flip the wheel over to use as a template. We're going to cut it down through the bed and then bolt it on. Axles work really well because they allow you to spin around, and they're pretty strong. They're intended to hold things up. So they work pretty good for this crane, and if you want a smaller crane, just get a smaller axle. So the wheel makes a really good template because that's what was fitting on the hub before. So what we did is we laid it out on the bed so it doesn't hit our bracket, and it doesn't hit any bed supports. So there's a fuel tank filler right there, so we're not going to use a torch. We're going to use a grinder and cut that out. So there's our layout. It could use a little cleaning up, but a thin wheel grinder cut that out pretty nice. Alright, so the mag drill works alright, but it doesn't stick super well on the diamond plate, so you gotta have somebody else there to hold it. And if you're cutting through and you're on part of a diamond, you gotta go really slow till the bit makes contact all the way with the bed. Otherwise it'll just slip off. We got a plate of steel and laid it down over the top. Traced out where the lines went so it lands on the supports that make up the bed, and then scribe those marks on there, and we'll cut them out and weld it underneath. And I'll make some filler pieces that go between here so that the crane doesn't crush in between this sandwich assembly, and then we'll weld this on and then bolt the crane down. So we blocked out this frame underneath of the truck so when we bolt the crane on, it won't collapse the sandwich sheet that we're going to put on. A little more progress on the truck crane. So we had a jack from a cherry picker, and it wasn't really strong enough to lift the boom, so like I said before, we put these chains on it, and then we would just set it where we want and put the chain there and lock it up tight, and then you could use it. Well, I found this 8-ton ram, so we had to change our mount because it's a little bit different length, and we set it up so we could have it extended all the way up. My shop roof's not tall enough to test it in the fully upright position, and because we're doing some paint work on the boxes, we didn't want to take it outside, so we measured between these points right here, and then we extended one tape measure up, and then we measured from here, the base of the jack, and then vertically this way until those tape measures came to the point, like it's 21 1/4 inches from here to here, It's 43 inches with the jack extended all the way up. So we could tell that the jack was going to fully extend. The ram, we set a come along on our 2 tow hooks right there, and then held the boom. Then we can pull this pin out right here, set the jack right up here, set the jack right up against the old axle, and then we can make sure that we can still operate our jack there so it doesn't hit. So when we get this painted up, we'll take it outside and run it all the way up and make sure it works. That needs to go all the way up because otherwise the radius, you can see here how far the radius is. You won't be able to set something on the tailgate unless it's all the way up. The other thing that I did is we just used 3/4 inch grade 5 because they're not as brittle as grade 8 bolts. I put most of them upside down so I can see if they come loose, you can see it because the nuts there on the top. So that's as far as we got now, but it swings really nice with the full ball bearings on that hub. Next thing we'll do is get it painted up and then take it outside and see how good our geometry was. The last thing we had to do underneath is put a few braces in to help with the leverage of the crane pulling against the bed. I've done in the past, just hooked it to my receiver because it's a nice hunk of metal, and this other piece there that holds the bed on, that's pretty solid, and then another one over here back to the bumper. So that'll help stabilize this. It's going to pull sideways on the bed, but it'll transfer that load down. Right, so we got the winch mounted up, got everything wired. So this has a air, it lifts with air. Hydraulic. So that works like that, and then it'll go down, up, down. That works beautiful. Then you can swing it around wherever you want to set it. So we're super happy with it. We'll do a little demonstration on how we wired it and how we're going to attach it to the truck so that it stays charged. But that's going to be super handy. So then if you want to let it down, you just set this here. It's important to keep it tight. Keep your winch tight also. It's going to be super slick. We're really happy with it. There we go. So this is the jack that we used. We bought this from Harbor Freight. This is the correct size for this boom length, set up the way that we have it. And it's pretty handy because it's air and hydraulic. So if you have an air compressor on your truck, you can use that. If not, you can use the hydraulic. This is the winch that we used. We also bought this at Harbor Freight. This winch is the correct size for this boom and what we're trying to do. So far it's single line picked everything that we wanted. It pretty much picks what the boom will handle. We used some shackles to make this boom pivot. One of them got welded on top of the axle, the other one onto this plate on the boom. This is just a bolt going through there and a piece of pipe as a spacer to keep them fitting together the way we want. Really happy with the boom angle that we have with our setup. This is all the way up. It centers it above the middle of the bed. This position will pick the most amount of weight possible that this crane can handle. Another couple of things about this boom. So this is a 6" by 2 rec tubing, 1/4 inch thick wall. We just have this D-ring welded on the end of it to hang our pulley from. Also, the length of the boom is 9 feet from this center pin to the end. And now that we have a lot better jack on here, we don't have to have this tail piece and it chained down to handle the maximum amount of weight. So a person could forego that if they're building it again. Anyway, we appreciate you watching. Like and subscribe if you like the content, and we'll make more.